Being in the luckiest 10% of the world with health, house, food, power, water, and some funds, and being in Australia, I was recently talking to people and friends from around the world. A recurring theme that we talked about was that at a time like this, the sharing of skills and expertise was of help. How can I help? What can I do? My approach is to try and help organizations of all types and sizes by sharing skills and expertise that I hope are of value because this is how we can help people. This sharing of skills and expertise may be obvious to some and is probably not a lightweight material. But please feel free to share and use. Have fun doing good, and please stay happy and healthy. In previous sessions, we have talked about the role of clear, consistent, and persistent communication. Links are in the comments below. Resolving negativity and overcoming destructive communication is not easy, and no one simple one-size-fits-all solution applies. Rather, it is a multitude of approaches with an adaptive and responsive technique that works based on a set of proven principles. This applies whether communicating business change, communicating in the time of COVID-19, or work in the politically divided times in which some of us find ourselves. Consider the two diverse groups with contrary views. Seeking to engage, the following approaches are used. Working to form a common emotional bond, establishing shared interests and values, aligning aspirations, seeking to allay fears, and removing any sense of alienation or isolation. Even though both groups in this example are positive in their desire to engage with each other, the communication may take time, may need to evolve and adapt, and issues of trust between the groups may exist. Through providing support, assistance with skilling, trying to guide and share expertise, showing empathy, and form a common purpose, agreement and alignment between the groups can be achieved. Both groups may inadvertently or be seen to be providing misinformation, create blame and confusion, which may lead to fear and a sense of deception. The tools of misinformation, blame, confusion, fear, and deception can also be used to reinforce the status quo, entrench positions, and divide efforts. Misinformation, blame, confusion, fear, and deception can be used to masquerade as support, skilling, guidance, empathy, and purpose. For views to change, the communication has to overcome incumbency, meet the challenge of vested interests, and requires resources. Incumbent vested interests that are well-funded may use misinformation, blame, confusion, fear, and deception to promote their view or keep their position of power and influence. Overcoming this requires resources, an alignment of other vested interests, and the provision of support, skilling, guidance, empathy, and sense of purpose to enable the communication between the groups. None of this is easy to achieve. The more contrary the views and the more people to align, the greater the challenge. Tools like social networking that reinforce a view and the absence of fact checking contribute to the complexity. But communication that forms the emotional bond can bring change. Counteracting negative communication to bring groups together requires leadership and is often harder to achieve. Yet, it is by coming together, not agreeing on everything, but alignment of interests and values that success is achieved. Communication is an adaptive and responsive approach that includes consistency and persistency, credibility, the emotional bond, and the shared interests and values. Being the change you wish to see and treating others as you would wish to be treated are key elements. Bringing groups together requires a change in outcome, a change in behaviors, and a change in environment. Let's look at each of these in turn. Change in outcome. Bringing groups together, changing views, and coming to a consensus requires a change in outcomes expected. This needs a change in motivation, reason, and changes in skills. Skilling is the ability to do, while training is how to do. We may not have the skills to change what we do and the outcomes we expect of ourselves. This is why support, skilling, guidance, empathy, and purpose bring the emotional bond, align aspirations, allay fears, remove the sense of alienation and isolation, and share interests and values. Changes in behaviors. Getting the required outcomes often needs a change in behaviors, e.g., losing weight by going to the gym and better diets. The change in behavior comes from the influence of peers and a change in expectation of people. The expectation changes comes from within through the self-pride, ownership, and empowerment. Changing behaviors requires motivation and skilling, which depends upon support, guidance, empathy, and purpose. Changes in environment bring changes in behavior. A supporting and nurturing environment encourages pride, ownership, and empowerment. Changing the environment to one of retribution, revenge, and fear instills bad behavior and poor outcomes. Changes in the environment take time and result from the need. Bringing people together requires leadership to change the environment, to instill the behaviors, to drive the outcomes. This requires overcoming incumbency and vested interests, but takes resources and time, requiring an adaptive and responsive approach. Being the change you wish to see and treating others as you would wish to be treated are key because it brings the support, skilling, guidance, empathy, and purpose required. This creates the necessary emotional bond, the shared interests and values, the aligned aspirations, allays fears, and removes the sense of alienation and isolation. It is through this combination that groups are brought together for the betterment of all. Thank you for your time. Hope you enjoyed this session and found it of value. This session can be used beyond COVID-19 decision making. Please help others by sharing the link. Looking forward to your comments and the sharing of other skills and expertise. Don't forget to subscribe so that we can help you and please help others to help themselves.